Hey y'all, this is Danielle from Black Business Boom and Black Owned Nashville, and we are live with Attorney Princess Woodard. Today we are going to be talking about her new book, Tidbits on Tennessee Family Law. I'm really excited to learn about this book. I've been reading a little bit about it, and it sounds really interesting, really exciting, and very valuable, especially for the Black community. So make sure you tune in to learn about this book. Tag somebody, tell them to tune in as well. Welcome. How are you?
I am well. Thank you for having me.
I'm very excited to have you today. So let's learn a little bit about you. You're in Memphis, is that right?
Yes, I
Shout
love to tell
out to
everybody.
Memphis.
Yes, 901. I love to tell everybody I'm born, bred, and educated in Memphis. So I went to undergrad here. I went to law school here. I live here. I love here. I adore my city and the people of my city.
Okay. And you've been attorney for how long?
I've been an attorney for 7 years. I've been in the legal field for about 10 years because I was a law clerk, held other positions before I passed the bar and became a licensed attorney.
Okay. And what drove you to that career path?
It's not the typical answer that people expect. Like, I didn't grow up wanting to be a lawyer or anything. I went to undergrad here at Christian Brothers University, and my bachelor's degree is in marketing. And I was taking business law, which is just a required course. And the business law professor, who moonlighted as a part time city attorney, said, "Hey, if you guys don't know what you want to do post graduation, look into going to law school." And of the 30, 40 kids that were in the class, I'm probably the only person that said, let me Google what are the requirements to get into law school. And that started my path.
I
So I
love
was a
it.
senior in undergrad when I decided to go this way.
Well, you obviously chose the right path. It's something
Yes,
that you
yes.
enjoy. I
I believe
love
it was fate.
Yeah, and it happens like that. Like the greatest stories just came from like randomly. Like when people ask me how I went into healthcare, I'm like, my grandma was reading the newspaper one day and was like, it says that if you go into healthcare, you'll always have a job. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going into healthcare. So it's always interesting to kind of hear that story about the journey. So let's start talking about the book and kind of what sparked you to write the book. So what have you learned in your career that made you feel that it was important for you to write this book?
Okay. So when I interact with people, a lot of people get thrust into family law situations. It's not something that you're just having passing conversations about. The average person isn't sitting up and talking about what are the types of alimony, or what is marital property, what is separate property, what are the factors if you want to pursue grandparent visitation, what are the different laws in place around paternity and parentage. Those are just not water cooler type conversations. So most people don't think about it, don't know about it, and so they're in the thick of it. And I really wanted to educate people so that they would have a framework. The book is not meant to replace a lawyer. It's not meant for you to run down to the courthouse and say, "Hey, I got this book. I know everything." But what it is meant to do is just to, like I said, give people a framework, educate them so they have a better understanding about whatever family law process they may be going through. Because I often tell people the law and their logic don't always coincide.
Mm.
And a great example of that, which a lot of people don't know, is in Tennessee, if a child is born out of wedlock, even if the father signs the birth certificate, he does not have any parental rights. He has to go to court to establish the right to visitation, the right to have certain access to certain medical records, school records, and things like that. Now, they can quickly put him on child support because he's the legally established father. But as far as him having, so many men call and say, "Oh, I haven't seen my child," and I say, "Well, you have no standing right now. You got to go to court. You got to establish those rights." So you, at that time, then have legal recourse if you're not seeing your child or certain things.
Man, that's crazy. So, I mean, of course, having a child is a major event, and
Right.
there are things that we should be a lot of things, that we should be thinking about, and that's one that a lot of people wouldn't have considered. what are some other major events in life that are covered in the event that are covered in your book that we should be being more proactive about thinking about what outcomes we may want to avoid and how we can protect ourselves?
Okay. So another big thing is when married couples physically separate. Physical separation and legal separation are not the same thing. Just because you no longer cohabitate with somebody does not mean that the clock stops towing on marital assets, the right to pursue, let's say, spousal support, different things. Those things can still be in play even though you've been physically separated. Another huge one that comes up a lot is in Tennessee, any child born to the wife during the marriage is legally presumed to be that husband's biological child.
Child.
So if you've been separated 10, 15 years and the wife has been out having children, by law, those are considered the husband's children. And when we do a divorce, we have to disestablish those kids. Now, daddy can go have as many babies as he wants because we know who the mother is. But that kind of comes from that old school thought process of, we don't want men to kind of abandon their families or, take up with another family. And now we have women who have to get on state assistance and stuff. So if you have a kid, any child born to the wife during the marriage is legally presumed to be the husband's or within 300 days of divorce.
What?
So if you're pregnant and you get a divorce, you better make sure that it either is your husband's kid or everybody's on notice. So we can either do like a prenatal paternity test, or if we can't do prenatal paternity tests, we're actually supposed to pause the divorce until that child is born so we can disestablish that child. Because child support and everything can come out of that.
Man, that is wild.
Like, what?
I'm over here. I'm not even married and I don't even have no kids and I'm appalled over here. But I mean, it's so much, and like you said, you don't know these things. You don't find out until you're in a bad situation. A lot of times, they don't come out. You don't learn these laws until you get on good old Google when it's like, I'm in a bad situation. I'm trying to figure my way out of a situation. And many times someone's trying to avoid a lawyer when you really do need that legal guidance.
Right.
So tell me a little bit more about, the book and how and use cases for it. Like if I was thinking about, I need to go get this book. I have kids or maybe I don't have kids. What are some of the benefits of actually having the book?
Right. So the benefits of having a book is that I've consolidated all the relevant laws to the topics in one place. So you're not having to try to Google, talk to a friend, talk to a family member, get misinformation. I lay it out for you. Like, hey, if you are a bigger topic that comes up more recently is grandparent visitation. Because grandparents are like the bedrock of families, and oftentimes they do help raise their grandchildren. But every grandparent doesn't qualify for grandparent visitation. It's not just cut and dry. I'm a grandparent. I have a relationship with this child. I want to visit. There are certain things that kind of automatically trigger it. For example, if you are the parent of a deceased parent of the grandchild, that kind of creates a pretty big presumption that you need to be in that child's life because they've lost their parent. But there are certain factors that the court has to look at. I outline the factors if you're considering pursuing an adoption, the things you need to do on the front end before you even go into adopting a child, especially if it is a child that you don't have a close blood relationship to. Because I have people sometimes call and say, "Oh, I'm a second or third cousin." Well, you're going to be you're treated essentially as a non-relative in that case.
Yeah.
So before you pursue getting custody of that child, you actually need to do what we call a home study and have a professional agency come out to your house and evaluate you and interview you and review your finances and review your health status, review all these things to make sure that you're a fit and proper person. So the book is 9 chapters. It goes through everything, like I said, from paternity and parentage to adoption to uncontested divorces, contested divorces. Contested divorces is probably the most voluminous chapter, and it tells you everything from what is going to be marital property in your divorce. Because some people have a misbelief that if it's just in my name, it's separate. That's not the law. Some people have the misbelief that if my husband or my spouse cheated on me, they need to give me alimony, they need to give me money. That's not what the law is. Some people feel like if you leave the marriage, that I don't need to give you anything, and that's not what the law is. So it breaks down all of those things because, and one of the biggest reasons I wanted to do it is I try to educate my clients, but I oftentimes get cases where they've had a lawyer before me, and the biggest topic may be alimony, and that lawyer has never told them there are four types of alimony in Tennessee. Tennessee favors this one type over everything else. These are the factors that the court is going to look at based off of your case, your issues, your income, all of these different variables. This is probably the type of alimony that's going to come out of your case. Or, people don't know when it comes to dependency and neglect that these certain events trigger dependency and neglect. Just leaving your child with a family member for an extended period of time can lead to dependency and neglect. Having your child around certain environments and not remedying them can be dependency and neglect. Dependency and neglect can lead to you losing your parental rights and your child being put in the system. So it just really, like I said, to put it back on a summary of what the book does. Like I said, it condenses all the law for everyone. It gives them different scenarios and fact patterns of cases and how the court has interpreted different things. Like I even lay out all the different types of, or all the different sources that the court considers income when calculating child support, and things that the court doesn't consider when calculating child support. So it's really, like I said, a resource framework. So if you're going through a case, you're not completely just dependent upon someone else having to spoon feed you everything. You now have a book, a resource that you can use, and you can educate yourself, and you know that it's good law. You know it's coming from an attorney, and you can then to either talk to an attorney, or if you have a lawyer. Like I plan to give the book to my clients just so they know everything, even though I'm telling them as the process is going, they can read the book and say, hey, I saw this in the book. We haven't got there yet, but let's chit chat about this.
I love this. Like extremely valuable. And I know this one is for Tennessee, but I'm like, they need this in every state because every state is different. I think this is extremely valuable. I got my business hat on over here. I'm like, this needs to be in every state, and it needs to be in every lawyer's office, and it needs to have a distribution deal over here. But anyway, I love it. So tell people how they can get the book if they are in Tennessee or they have family in Tennessee that they feel like they want to gift it to. What's the best way for them to get their hands on the book?
Okay. If they go to my website, www.woodardesq.com, I have links to Amazon and Barnes and Noble where they can get the ebook. So that's an instantaneous download. You have it on your device immediately. Or you can order the paperback, which is a great size. You can put it in your glove box, in your purse, in your briefcase, just so you kind of always have it nearby. And they can order that through my website. And then the paperback will also be available through Amazon and Barnes and Noble in about a week as well.
That is fantastic. This is amazing. And like I said, I think it's extremely valuable for our communities. We experience a lot of these things, a lot of things going on in our communities, having to step in, adopt kids. It's important for us to understand the law. Many times we're trying to navigate these situations on our own. And it's important for us to also be proactive about situations, and educating ourselves is the best way for us to be able to do that. So I definitely salute you, for taking the initiative and creating this as a resource for all Tennesseans, but especially for the minority community. So I greatly appreciate you, and I appreciate you so much for coming and chatting with me today.
Yeah,
Make sure you go to woodardesq.com and grab the book. Grab it for somebody else. Gift it to somebody. It's a wonderful, wonderful resource with 9 chapters of great information. Something in there is relevant for something in your
Yeah.
life.
Yeah,
So,
everybody, in most scenarios, most people are going to encounter some type of family law issue.
absolutely,
Or their
absolutely,
kids are, someone called me earlier saying something was going on with their adult child, but they needed some help. So everybody can utilize it. It's a great resource for anybody.
absolutely. I love it. Thank you so much for joining me today. And again, that website is woodardesq.com. You can't miss the pop up. Soon as you go to the website, you'll see it
Yes.
right there on the front page. So make sure you go. You can download the ebook. You can get the ebook and have it immediately. So go and let's support this Black owned business and this Black attorney. Have a wonderful day. And again, thank you